This video will demonstrate the use of the Apollo RESTful Application Programming Interfaces, or RESTful APIs. Although we deliver clients with the product, some may wish to create their own clients or extend existing clients such that they are integrated with the Apollo catalog. Let's begin by looking at some of the APIs that are available. We start on the Apollo landing page and select the API console button. Be sure to authenticate so you have permissions to create and access records in the catalog. Note the list of high-level categories of APIs. You will find APIs for certain entity types, OGC services, job management, the catalog in general, along with many others. If we expand the entire catalog category, we see examples of the APIs as well as the method types used. You will see post, patch, put, get, and delete. If we open one of these methods, we see information about the descriptions, about the input information, about the response codes, as well as the ability to create and submit a request to the API using the Try It Out button. For the purpose of this demonstration, we will be performing common tasks related to how clients access the Apollo catalog. Let's begin by querying for the root aggregate. We'll initially close our entire catalog. We'll open the aggregates category and select the first get method. We can narrow the scope of the search by typing root in the keywords box. Then we will scroll down to the Try It Out button and execute the search. In the response body, you should see that we now have access to the root aggregate of the catalog. We will copy the ID value because it is needed in the next step when we create a new aggregate. But be sure that you copy the ID value instead of the identifier, as the ID is the proper key that will be needed. Now, let's create a new aggregate. Let's begin by closing the get method, but let's stay in the aggregates category. Expand the only post method in this category. And for the post method, we do not use key value pairs. We instead must build a request body. But we can get a start on the body by clicking the cursor in the example value box on the right. This will copy the template into our request body. If needed, you can expand the body to see more of the text. But then let's fill in the values. Let's begin by pasting the ID value for the root in the parent section of the value for ID. Then finally, let's give the new aggregate a name. In this case, we will use the name API data. Scroll down and select the Try It Out button to create the new aggregate. We get a response code of 205 signifying the creation was successful. We will copy the ID value for the new aggregate because we will need it in the next step as well. However, we can also go into Data Manager and verify the new aggregate was generated correctly. Simply refresh the Explorer window, and now we see that we have an API data aggregate located directly under root. We are now ready to crawl data into our new aggregate. Let's begin by closing the aggregates category. Since we copied the ID value for the new aggregate already, we do not need to query for this information. Open the crawl category and select the only post operation located under this category. Clicking the example value box to copy the template into the body. Again, we can expand this box to see more of the body text. Within the crawl type section, replace the current directory value with the location of the data to be crawled. Be sure the slashes in the path are forward facing because the backward slashes are interpreted as control characters. Then, within the crawl properties section, replace the current parent ID value with the ID of the recently created aggregate. Then, scroll down to the Try It Out button to execute the crawl. We see a response code of 202 which signifies the request was successfully submitted. We can now close the crawl category, but again we can verify that the crawl happened successfully by looking at Data Manager. Within Data Manager, we will refresh our Explorer view, and now you see we have a raster aggregate located under API data. If we select it, we see two new ECW files that were crawled during the crawl process. Now let's look at some query capabilities by querying on the currently crawled data. We already have seen some simple queries as we queried for the aggregate IDs, but now we will see some advanced queries. Open the entire catalog category and select the first post method for the advanced search. You can again select the example value box to copy the template into the body, but it may not contain all possibilities or it may contain too much. For today, I will paste an existing search criteria into our body. I'll also expand the box so that we can see the entire text. In this search, we are looking for the first 10 catalog items that intersect the given geometry. We'll scroll down and select the Try It Out button. If we then go to our results area of our response body, we should be able to find one of our recently crawled data sets that intersect this particular boundary. In particular, the data set 19155555 should be visible. We'll copy the ID value for this particular data set because we're going to need it in the next step. We'll collapse the post method under the entire catalog, and then we'll collapse the entire catalog category as well. Finally, let's delete the 19155555.ecw file from the catalog. Open the delete category and select the only post method to expand it. The body of the delete is very simple in that it only contains a list of IDs to be deleted. Click in the example value box to copy the template into the body. Now we place the ID value that we obtained in the previous query for our ECW file in the list of IDs. Be sure to keep the quotation marks around the ID, and if you have multiple IDs to be deleted, be sure to put quotation marks around each ID separately and separate them with a comma. Now we'll scroll down and select the Try It Out button. Although the response code of 202 tells us it was successful, we can again verify the deletion in Data Manager by simply refreshing the Datasets tab for the raster aggregate. This has been a small sample of the activities that can be accomplished using the new ERDAS Apollo RESTful APIs. The APIs and documentation are delivered with the product, so we invite you to play with the APIs and see what you can do.